It's Sunday, November 15th, 2020. Scottie Scheffler is on the par 3 12th hole of Augusta National on the final round of the pandemic-delayed Masters and is watching his playing partner and defending champion Tiger Woods shoot a 10 after firing 3 balls into the water. This will go down as one of the worst single-score holes of the 15-time major winner's career. But what sticks out most for Scheffler was what followed next. Tiger Woods went on to birdie 5 of the next 6 holes, leaving Scottie Scheffler in disbelief of what the true champion had just done. And for many people, that could have been the end. Many would have given up, walked away, and potentially began to play even worse as their round spiraled out of control and left them in a pit of embarrassment and shame. So what is it that helped Tiger Woods turn it around that day? And what is it that he uses that enables him to be able to deal with moments that are so challenging? Well, the answer lies in something that the great athletes such as Tiger Woods all have that allows them to deal with these stressful situations in sport. And it's something that if you can develop it, you can overcome challenges and setbacks that you may face and even find yourself performing and thriving in such challenging and tough conditions. So what is it? Well, it's resilience. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 5 ways which you can use to help you build your resilience as an athlete. But before we get started, if you find value in this video, don't forget to hit the like button like the absolute legend that you are. You can subscribe to the channel as well. And also you can hit the bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos. As soon as they come out, you'll be one of the first to get notified. Let's get into today's video. So what is resilience? Well, many people will think that resilience is bouncing back from a setback, maybe a loss or an adversity. But Professors David Fletcher and Mustafa Sarkar have come to define resilience as the ability to use personal qualities to withstand pressure. This is where individuals can still perform even when they find themselves in moments of pressure, both in and out of their sport. And athletes that are low on resilience, they're the ones that potentially, when things get tough and the pressure builds, they end up becoming demotivated, anxious, and potentially give up altogether. And while many think that being resilient is all about being mentally tough and grinding out performance, and that can be true in pressure situations and challenging moments, there is a distinct difference between being mentally tough and resilient. And I had Professor Mustafa Sarkar on the Raising Your Game podcast, where we spoke about that difference. And this leads on to the fact that we can actually build resilience because we're not just relying on ourselves. We can use our environment and social factors as well as ourselves. So how do we build resilience? Well, many people will just think that you're either born resilient or you're not, and that you don't have a choice. However, the research that Mustafa Sarkar and his colleagues have found is that you can build resilience just like any skill, as if it's kicking a football or shooting a free throw in basketball. A skill that, if with enough practice, you can develop and know when to use it when the moment requires it. So let's get into these 5 ways that you can help develop your resilience in sport. And first up is training. And so with any skill, it requires training, and resilience is no different. And in order to do that, you have to consider the environment in which you're training. Is it set up for you to build resilience? And leading on from their research, Fletcher and Sarkar developed what's called the Challenge Support Matrix, which describes 4 environments which exist in facilitating developing resilience in athletes. And the first environment is a stagnant environment. This is where there is low challenge and low support. People in these environments don't really know what to do. They don't care. If performance happens, then it's more by accident or by chance than actually design. And so in a stagnant environment, there is very little resilience being built because, like I said, there is not much going on, and this is not an environment that you want to be in if you do want to build resilience. Next is a comfortable environment. This is where we believe a happy performer is a great performer. There is a high level of support in an environment here, but there's also a low level of challenge. In these types of environments, people are often too nice, things become too cozy, difficult conversations are being avoided from players and coaches, there's a lack of personal and professional development, any underperformance is not addressed, and people are just over-caring, or it's a parent-like culture. And while it may be comfortable to be there, you're not actually getting yourself prepared to deal with stressful situations. The next environment is an unrelenting environment. This is an old traditional sink or swim type mentality. There is a low level of support here with a high level of challenge. In environments like this, there is things such as unhealthy competition, leaders exposing and ridiculing underperformances. There are potential conflicts, people feeling isolated, a real lack of care for well-being, potential stress and burnout. And this is an environment that just breeds and very little place for athletes to go in order to find that support. And as the name suggests, this is an unrelenting environment, one where it's just relentless. And building resilience requires you to be able to debrief what happens in your environment, what happens through your challenges. And if you don't have that support, then you can't do that. And so the final environment that we find ourselves in is the environment you want to get into, which is a facilitative environment. This is one where people are thriving with a supportive and challenging environment. One where people have ownership of their goals, they are psychologically self, there's healthy competition. And so this is an environment where we can start to breed resilience. Because you don't not only have the challenge, you also have the support that helps you debrief through those challenges and help you understand how to go through them not only again, but potentially even more in the future. This is an environment where we find there is a healthy level of competition. People are learning from mistakes and failure. There is a huge amount of support for the challenges that you have. And this breeds resilience because it allows you to maintain that high level of challenge, but also be supported and be able to understand, debrief those challenges so that you can learn from them. And this model shows that it's not only just about being tough and trying to grind through that challenge, but you also need support as well. And that support can look different for anyone. It could be an arm around the shoulder for some, but it could also be a bit of accountability for others. For someone like Tiger Woods, his former support came from his dad really challenging him. And his support was dropping his clubs on Tiger's backswing and messing with the ball. But then also he created a safe word that if anything got too much for Tiger, that if he said it at any moment, that everything would stop and training would end. And that safe word was enough, and Tiger never used it once. But while that might look harsh for some, it could be an arm around the shoulder for others, or it could be words of encouragement from your team or your coach. And so support can look a range of different ways for many different people. So it's worth asking, what does support look like for you? And so number 2 is perspective. Resilience is not necessarily all about mindset, it's a perspective. And first of all, we have to be aware of our current thinking. Many athletes easily fall into negative thinking and rumination about those negative events. And rather than seeing an event as it being bad, we see it as I am bad. And so the challenge is to move away from more about what the outcome is and focusing on that to who is the type of person that will deal with this. And so a great way to change your perspective is to create a character. Being able to build a character of someone you think will handle that will give you a clearer path as to how you might be able to see the challenges differently. Think about how they would see this challenge. How would they see this moment of pressure? What would they do? How would they act? And you'll be able to see what strengths did I gain? What would I do in the future if I was to have something like this happen to me again? And in the case of Tiger Woods, who has faced many challenges along his career, you could argue that he saw a certain type of person that would deal with that pressure moment and handle it in a certain way because he had built the character that would do that. And so when you build a character of someone who is resilient, then you give yourself a path to follow so that you can hopefully start to act it out. And so number 3 is competence. Being able to deal with stressful situations becomes a lot easier when we feel competent in a situation. This is all about feeling as if you are capable to deal with it. And so in the case of someone like Tiger Woods, just because he missed a few shots doesn't make him a bad player. He knows he has the capability to play those shots, so he has to believe that he is competent enough to come back from it. And so while for you, it might be about developing the basic skills or even advancing your skills to feel that level of competence, it's worth remembering what your current strengths are if you don't feel like you're the finished article. You don't have to be world class to be resilient. You just have to recognize I have the skills, I have the capabilities that I currently have, and I'm going to use them to the best of my ability. That in itself is competence in what you currently have. Number 4 is mental skills. Athletes that cope with pressure utilize skills and especially mental skills. These are coping mechanisms that allow you to not only be able to deal with the stresses, but allow you to perform in those pressure moments as well. And having more mental skills will give you more tools in your toolbox that helps you build your competency so that you don't feel so lost when those occasions happen. And this could be from a range of different skills and coping mechanisms such as self-talk, imagery, visualization, goal setting, breathing techniques, concentration. You might even use relaxation techniques and that help you cope with the stresses of what's going on. And I've done a deeper dive into mental skills and how they are crucial for you as an athlete, and you can go and check out the link to go and dive into that video right now. And being able to practice your mental skills and develop them further will help you feel like you can take on the pressure that is ahead of you. And the best way to do that is by heading over to the MindStrong Sport app, the mental gym that will help you strengthen your mind both on and off the field. From a range of meditations, exercises and courses and more, all designed by athletes for athletes. So to download the app and get started right now, head to the link in the description and receive your exclusive offer today. And finally, the last way to build your resilience as an athlete is to learn your ABCs, and not Elmo's Sesame Street ABCs. These ABCs stand for adversity, beliefs, controllables. The ABCs helps you create a system in real time that help you face your challenges and be resilient right there and then. If you can use this system, then you can just constantly place it into a moment where you think you're going to require resilience. So A stands for adversity. It's about becoming aware of the moment where you're facing an adversity, a challenging moment, and what is going to require you to be resilient. B is for beliefs. What are the types of beliefs that show up? How does your thinking start to turn? Is it that you start to believe that you are no good? Maybe you start to justify the situation, find excuses, begin to blame. Maybe you start to feel like you're going to give up. What is the belief system that follows the adversity? And finally, C is for controllables. Focus on what is in your control. When you're facing something that is challenging and you're trying to be resilient, you need to use something that is in your control and move away from what is causing you anxiety, which is your uncontrollables, something that is not in your control. So you might find your controllables are your effort, your mindset, your character. Focusing on those will allow you to face resilience in a way that brings you confidence, knowing that you are in control of the situation. So there you have it. There are 5 ways to help you build resilience. Hopefully, if you found value in this, then let us know in the comments. Let us know if you would add anything in the comments as well. Don't forget to download the MindStrong Sport app. Head over to the link in the description to do that. And also, resilience is great when being under pressure, but anxiety can be the issue for many athletes that gets in the way. And if you want to know how to beat your performance anxiety, then you're going to want to head to this video now.